All right, guys, welcome in to the Sunday night show. Got the Clout Demonz here. I'm Noah. Ron's here. Stu behind the keys. We got a guest in studio. We got TJ here on the mic.
Wow.
His buddy, what's your name? Court. Court's there with him. Court's in here. We got a little bit of a show here for you. We got LSU Baseball this weekend. Covered some practice this past week, and then LSU put on a little something with Lil Baby this week. But we're just going to start off. We just want to address the news with Dwayne Haskins. That's the first thing we want to talk about. We just want to, send out our condolences and prayers to the family, to anybody that's connected with Ohio State, Pittsburgh, Washington. It just connected him in any way because, it's just a terrible scene. It's a tough situation to see, especially when you're only 24 years old. And then just, the media and the way the media goes about stuff like this sometimes just isn't right. And we saw that with Adam Schefter. He kind of pulled the trigger too fast and on this tweet and deleted it and just didn't come out right, I'm guessing. Not to defend him because what he said wasn't right. Athletes are still people. Should treat them that way. But yeah, that's why we're here. We want to be a little something different in the media than guys like Schefter. But getting on with the show, LSU Baseball this weekend, they win all three. Finally a sweep. They looked good. Not too many errors. They got the bats working. Pitching was great. I think the highlight of the weekend was yesterday. The relief pitchers were outstanding. They came in. They shut it down. Money gave up 3 runs and then a shutout from the relief pitchers. And then LSU had the bats moving, which we should expect every game offensively from the Tigers. And then practice, I did not go to practice on Saturday, but Ron was there. Ron, what'd you see?
I saw a lot of good deep balls, specifically from Walker Howard. That one deep ball he threw to Kyron Lacey, that was amazing, man. I also saw a little bit of DB stuff, some lineman stuff, and the running backs. I think they were a little bit more alive this practice. Like, there were a lot more hits, a lot more contact and stuff.
Yeah. There was that video clip you got out there of John Emery.
Yeah.
He's a guy that we've talked about a lot. He kind of gets outside the tackles, catching out the backfield, getting outside. But seeing him kind of run somebody over was really cool. It was nice just because if he can add that to his game, I said this before, if he can add it to his game, he's going to be RB1 without a doubt. Yeah. Because if you can run through somebody's face and get outside of them, it's a scary look. But it was interesting seeing some of Brian Kelly's comments. He talked about number 7 and number 18. Which is something that was brought up a couple of times just because nobody on the roster had been given 7 or 18 yet. And he said he did some research on the numbers, which is awesome to see. That the tradition obviously holds enough weight that the new coach cares enough to do some research and look into it. But he's kind of putting it back on the players. He wants them to decide, which a lot of people don't know how they feel about it. I agree with it. I think, it should be a player-chosen type deal. Just especially 18 because 18 is the leader of the team. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's who's being chose is the leader. And, I'm not exactly sure who it will be. I think one of my picks was Jordy. I think Jordy might get 18 offensively just because you can see that he's kind of stepped up in that leader role. And even when he talked to us, you can tell he's taking it full force. He wants to be a leader. But I'm not sure who the one on the defensive side would be.
Ali Gay.
18. You think so?
Ali Gay.
I can see that.
Or I would say Mike Jones, but I really don't know, because he's been here, for such a short time. I really don't know. What you think, TJ?
Personally, I would give B.J. Ojolari 18.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would give 7 to Kayshawn Boutte.
Yeah. I think 7 should definitely go to Kayshawn.
Kayshawn wants it.
Kayshawn definitely deserves 7, especially the career he's had thus far. Had he not went down with his injury last season, he definitely would have been the number 1 wide receiver in college football.
Still is. But
his injury happened, and it's his comeback season, and what better way to add to it than to be honored 7. And B.J. Ojolari, 18. Shout out that Cobb County, Marietta, Georgia. But no, B.J., his leadership, his character, his performance on the field, he's a solid kid. He's a good leader. His teammates respect him. He's the voice. He's one of the major voices of the defense. You mentioned Ali Gay. I believe Ali plays a strong role in why, you know, BJ has become a little bit more outspoken. Dre Anthony also, you know, kind of took him under his wing and got him a little bit more vocal because he's a quiet kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think those would be my 7 and 18.
Yeah, no, I like that, BJ, because, you know, in 18 it's more just on the field. It's also, you know, off the field. Like a lot of times 18 is a guy they'll put at media days and stuff like that. And I mean, we've interviewed BJ. Jordy's interviewed BJ before. I mean, he's a great interview and he holds himself very well. And, you know, and he is a leader, and I think that's what 18 is supposed to be. And so it's going to be interesting who they give it to. But Kayshawn for 7, I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you know how excited we all got when Stingley took 7 coming back. Because, I mean, it's kind of the same situation. You know, come back from injury. This is supposed to be the money year. You know, seeing him do it at 7 is going to be awesome. And Kayshawn said on the show to Jordy, I mean, he said he wants it. And so, I mean, if you got the best receiver in college football that wants to continue the tradition, I mean, you got to give it to him. Just because, I mean, the numbers that he would put up no matter what, it just looks better in 7. And so, I mean, I love DJ Chark, and you give it to DJ Chark. I mean, if you're going to give it to a receiver, give it to – because, I mean, Jam got it. He never wore it, but he got it.
They gave it to Jonathan Giles.
Okay,
like,
no, he doesn't count, but he got it ripped off.
I get it, but if they could give it to him, it's no other reason for them not to give it to Kayshawn. Like, and he asked for it. Like, he actually is welcoming the challenge of being 7 at LSU, and that's something like you really don't see people, you know, take that challenge on because of the prestige of the number, like who wore it, and it's kind of becoming a receiver number.
Jamar, Chark.
So
yeah, and then I mean, because a lot of times we associate with DBs because of Tyron and Pat Pete and stuff like that. But I mean, you had Leonard wore it, Chark, Jamar got it, and I think
them DBs got to step up.
Yeah, big time. And speaking of DBs and speaking of 7, the Ohio State DB 7 Banks. There's been a couple crystal balls that he might come to LSU, and that's a position that Brian Kelly highlighted because Converse, the guy from the transfer from Oklahoma State, he's got an injury right now. They said he should be back by the summer, but they are lacking a little bit of depth at the corner position, and so obviously if you can get a corner from a Power 5 school like Ohio State, I mean they were obviously good enough and talented enough to be there. They're talented enough to be at LSU.
I think he's coming off injury too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it still adds a little bit of depth. We'll see what else. They're still working in the portal, and I think that's been a recurring thing that they've said. The coaches have said they're still looking in the portal. They still need another tight end, obviously.
Still need another lineman.
Some more linemen. I think that Vanderbilt lineman is supposed to commit this week, not to LSU. I mean, LSU's is in consideration, but it's not set in stone, so we'll see where he goes. I know Alabama was in there, and they had the last visit.
I was going to say, Bama got that last visit. You know how saving is. He was probably selling everything.
He's a closer.
Like, LSU's about to be on penalty. I got money for you. Saban got it all. He probably had the charger waiting on him. Like, he was ready. Like, so
yeah. So I mean, we'll see what he chooses. But when you see Saban get that last visit, you never feel too confident.
I say expect a couple more guys to leave.
Yeah.
LSU,
for sure. Just looking. Like the competition, the guys like y'all are speaking towards the portal. If we do get some transfers from here or there, obviously there's some people that will find a better fit somewhere else due to the standard that LSU is trying to get back to. But I definitely think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. Because we saw what was his name, the linebacker was Josh White. That was his name. He was the guy that went in the portal.
Yeah, Josh White. He going to Baylor.
Baylor.
And then Pig Cage, we lost him, and he's going to UTSA. So.
Yeah. So you can see that the competition is definitely picked up, and there's guys. I mean, with the way the transfer portal is, a lot of them are just going to go, to an easier situation. Sometimes, sometimes guys are going to fight it out. Sometimes they're just going to. Sometimes the grass looks greener somewhere else. And you can't hate on them for it.
Speaking of the transfer portal, how many players from Texas A&M you think are going to enter the transfer portal after next season?
I watched the spring game yesterday, and I was just like trying to count everybody that was from Louisiana in that game.
they had a lot of Louisiana love in there.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just the amount of guys from this past class. I mean, they had like 8 5-stars, which is crazy. So the amount of guys they have in this last class, there's not going to be time for everybody. Like they're going to have people transfer out. either guys that are in that class or guys that are already there going to get their spots replaced. So I'm sure they'll see kind of the good and the bad of what the new rules are with NIL and the portal. You can bring in a bunch of players, but you can't play all of them.
Did Max play in the spring game?
Last year?
No, I'm talking about did Max play in the Texas A&M spring game?
I don't remember that. I just looked at it. I was just trying to count the Louisiana people.
They did that just to get his brother.
Yeah, they only brought
his
him
brother's
to get
better
Jake.
than him, like as a player, like as what he brings to the team. But I mean, he's probably going to start at A&M.
Jake's gonna be a dog. That was a loss that hurt because I mean he was legit. And like even when we had guys come in and talk about like some of the LSU camps, like they were like the offensive all-star or MVP wasn't Walker, it wasn't Will Campbell, it was Jake Johnson. And so I mean that's tough to see. But the defensive MVP from those camps was Quincy Wiggins, who is at LSU.
All right.
And I mean you've seen just the raw talent he has. Obviously he's not super skilled, he's not super polished. But he's a big guy. He's strong. He gets in a 4-point stance, which is awesome. And so it's just cool to see, to kind of see what these guys do, especially the young guys, because I think the opportunity's there. Obviously, I mean Brian Kelly talked about Will Campbell, how Will Campbell's going to kind of step up, and he's been getting some first-team reps at the left tackle, which is crazy to have a freshman start at left tackle. Just how important that position is. But I think those guys have the opportunity just as much as the guys that have been there. Which is another thing that's cool for the young guys. And I think it's appealing to the people in the portal when it comes to LSU is it's kind of like a fresh slate for everybody. Anybody can come in and you can make a name for yourself and you can get some playing time. And I think the same thing applies to LSU basketball. Because I think anybody's looking at LSU basketball, you can get PT. Because right now we've got, 4 guys on the team.
I didn't even know we had that many.
Yeah, we got 2 transfers from Murray State. We got the guy from Northwestern State, and then we just got a transfer in from NC State.
And then he got the commit, the
center, the center commit, who's a 3-star.
Just 5.
So it's 5 guys.
You got to start 5.
You got 5. You got 5 players you
No
can put out
bench.
on the field, man. I mean, on the court.
Walk-on tryout's going to be looking real good.
Right, you know.
Noah said he's about to go try.
Yeah, I might have to walk on. I was hoping Doug, I was putting all my chips in the Doug basket. I was hoping Doug from St. Peter's would come to LSU. If he would have did it, I'd have followed suit. But he's committed to Bryant. Good for him. But yeah, I watched some film on the latest recruit. His name is I forgot it. The guy from NC State. I just watched some film on him, and he was a 4-star in high school, so he was a legit ball player. He's a point guard. He's very offensively talented. He's got a jumper. He's athletic. He just didn't have – he had the opportunity at NC State, but he didn't really take advantage of it. He only averaged about 7 or 8 points a game. Nothing crazy. They did have some guys in front of him that were guards as well that kind of picked up a lot of time and a lot of the usage rate on the team, and so he didn't really have the biggest opportunity. So it's good to see Matt McMahon bring somebody like him in, somebody that can score the ball and make something happen because – that's really what you need when a team is wide open like this. You need somebody that you can rely on offensively. In the chat, his name's Cam Hayes. Cam Hayes from NC State. He's a legit ball player. And it's going to be interesting to see what the rest of the team kind of shakes out to be, if there are any sanctions or not. Because I think that's the biggest thing when you look at it is, why am I going to go play there if they can't play in March? And so it's kind of a waiting game on that. And you've seen guys leave. Brandon Murray visited Tennessee yesterday and then Illinois today, I think.
Yeah, I love that Tennessee for Brandon Murray. I think he fit
I think he fit.
I think he fits in well. The program, what they did this year is phenomenal. What they do with their student athletes at Tennessee and Knoxville. If I had another school in the SEC, Tennessee would be a consideration school for if I was Brandon too.
Right.
So, yeah.
And they just had one of their freshmen, I forgot his name too, but they just had a 5-star freshman that they had last year. He's just entered the portal.
Tennessee?
Which you don't want to look too much into that, but
that makes some sense.
I mean, whenever Will was bringing in guys, you saw guys like Jalen Cook enter the portal and Josh Gray and guys like that, and Jacob LeBlanc, guys like that enter the portal whenever Wade was bringing people in. So that's kind of, the routine you see go on when it comes to the portal. His name's Brandon Huntley Hatfield. He was a top 30 prospect. Then went to Tennessee. He did not play much last year, but he was a 5-star recruit. But when you see something like that enter the portal, especially when there's Brandon Murray just visited, it's kind of quick. So obviously, I think Georgetown is still heavily in consideration because Nickelberry's there. And Nickelberry was the guy that recruited him. But it's interesting. It was interesting to me to see Tennessee on the list because that was something I never really considered. But when I saw them, I figured that'd kind of be a shoe-in. And it will hurt to see him on an opposing team. But I think he could play wherever he wants. I don't think he's a guy like Pinson. I think there's less of a market for just because he's older. He's not as big. He's not quite as he's not quite two-way like Brandon Murray is. Brandon Murray is so good on the defensive end and the offensive end. You kind of saw that when Pinson put out his top two of it being Xavier and Mississippi State, which were two interesting places to me because, in my opinion, both schools are worse than LSU. And both schools just went through a coaching change as well, which is very interesting. I mean, Xavier got Sean Miller, who's the guy that got in trouble with Arizona for violations, kind of like Will Wade did. He's the coach at Xavier. Mississippi State, I don't remember who they had. I think it was the New Mexico State coach. But so they just both went through a coaching change. And so it's interesting to see him put two schools that are kind of in the same spot as LSU.
I mean, who wants to live in Starkville?
Stark Vegas, baby.
Shout out to Katie.
Shout out to Katie. But it was very interesting to see him that be the top two. LSU not still being consideration. Because even when Imwani put out his list, he said he's still considered LSU. And so it makes me kind of wonder if, like, Matt McMahon, like, doesn't really want some of the players back. You know what I mean? Like, if he wants a fresh start. Because, I mean, obviously he'd want Adam Miller to stay. You'd want Brandon Murray to stay, guys like that. But, like, I even saw Eric Gaines, his school consideration was UAB, which is interesting. I mean, he's from Georgia.
He's from Atlanta,
Yeah, he's from Atlanta. So, I mean, it's not like he's going home or anything. And so it was interesting to see him pick a school that's not a Power 5 school. You know what I mean? When you were at LSU, kind of into the portal. So, I mean, it's interesting to see stuff like that. Just because we don't really know what is going on with the program, like what players McMahon wants to retain, and just seeing smaller schools get our guys is just interesting. Because, I mean, if you're leaving because you don't know if you get to play in March, why would you go to UAB? I mean, they're not going to play in March.
Did they play in March this year?
I don't think so. Right. So, I mean, like, it's just interesting to see stuff like that, especially as Eric Gaines. Because, in my opinion, when I first saw us hire Matt McMahon, I thought Eric Gaines was going to be one of the guys that would be interested in staying because you saw what Matt McMahon did with John Morant. I mean, their skill sets are very similar. Mm-hmm. They're so athletic, quick twitch, good ball players, good point guards. And
good on both ends.
Yeah, and so if I'm Eric Gaines and I look at Matt McMahon as the hire, I'm looking at what he did with John Morant just a couple years ago. Like, if he can get obviously Eric Gaines isn't as talented as Ja, but I mean, he's probably just as athletic. I mean, he can. You saw the plays he made. That block in the tournament game was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. It looked like he was like walking in the air. And so if I was Gaines, I was looking at Matt McMahon being like, he just did that with Ja. If he can kind of get me to that next level, why wouldn't I come back? You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see him choose UAB.
I'll say I think the culture that Will Wade created in the locker room amongst the brotherhood that the team displayed this year, even in previous years, I look at like my first year here when Trendon and Skylar and they were here and Javante, like the brotherhood that the basketball team kind of had. Like, I feel that Will Wade was very open with them, and it was a transparency thing. I feel like that plays a big part in why we're seeing so many guys leave, and it's not so much the playing time or what their role or position would look like. I don't think that would be the issue. I feel like it's more so fitting in and being happy at LSU, if I'm being honest. So that's what I say.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think definitely, even if you look at the team last year, you saw how much of their personality was Will Wade's personality. You know, they kind of went as the coach went. And then you saw that when Will wasn't there in the tournament game, they just didn't have that same that same feel for it because, I mean, their head coach was gone. And so it just shows you how important that position is in college basketball. You know, the people that get upset with players that decommit from schools are like, well, you're supposed to commit to the school, but really, in all actuality, you're committing to the coach. I mean, the coach is the guy that built a relationship with you through the recruitment process and while you were there. I mean, the coach is the guy that's taking care of you, essentially. Yeah. And so you're committing to the coach. So when you see a guy like Will Wade who was so good at recruiting, it was because of his ability to build relationships.
His personality.
Yeah. You know. And, you know, he's so outgoing, and we don't know that about Matt McMahon yet. We haven't really seen him express that yet. And so, obviously, he's a good coach. He's very talented as a basketball coach. But we just haven't seen what he can do. But some of these guys that he's brought in, like Cam Hayes, are very skilled. It's going to be interesting to see who else he brings in to surround them with. Because LSU's a school that you can build up, and you saw Will Wade do it. I mean, he came from VCU and, you know, Chattanooga, like not big schools. And so the fact that we're getting a smaller school coach isn't that big of a deal because, you know, LSU as a school and Baton Rouge as a city, you know, how much they love a winner. So if you can come here and turn it into a winner, you're going to get all the support you need.
And like you said, like, he coached players like Ja Morant.
Yeah.
And, like, when you see that, like, you see he can, like, have successful players come through and build with those type of players. So he could definitely do that over here.
I agree. Yeah, and I mean, and I think even this past year with women's basketball, you saw how much a winner means to Baton Rouge and the state of Louisiana. And so if you can come in, and you don't have to win next year. I'm not expecting the team to be anything crazy next year because right now they got 5 guys. I mean, we can't expect that. But, you know, if in 3 years, if you can make this program a winner and get to March, I mean, the support's going to be there. People are going to be there. They're going to fill out the stands just like they did for men's and women's basketball this year. And so I think, you know, I think the past year that the basketball programs had are going to play a big role in the future of basketball as a whole at LSU. There is a tension around it, and I think having Kim Mulkey helps men's basketball as well. Obviously, it helps women's basketball. She's the head coach. But I think it gives LSU basketball in general a draw from the fans' perspective. And so it's going to help the new head coach and Matt McMahon out just because of the amount of support that both programs got this past year. And so it's going to be interesting to see where the program goes from here. But I think you know, it's moving in the right direction. I mean, obviously we took a step back, but I don't think we have completely fallen apart as a program. I think there's a lot of potential. We've seen that with football. I mean, football lost a lot of guys. They had like 30-something players in the bowl game. You've seen Brian Kelly kind of build the program back up and fill it with guys that want to be. Yeah. I mean, when he was with Danny Lewis, he probably should have been turned the other direction because it was a little uncomfortable positioning. But, I mean, just the way that he's embraced Louisiana and Baton Rouge and everything that comes with it is huge. And when all the sports programs are doing that same thing, it's great for LSU as a whole. It's great for Louisiana. And it's cool to see, you know, where these programs can go from here. You know, and we've seen when programs are all hitting, like when football's playing well, basketball's playing well. I mean, it's just more fun. And the state as a whole, it's more fun in general, just because of how much LSU relies on those sports.
2019 was the best year ever.
It was amazing.
Fall of 2019, bro.
Let's not talk about it.
Like, it's irreplaceable in my heart and in my mind. Like, I like last football season was cool. Like, all the football season before 2019 was cool. But 2019 was just like the most special year.
It's like
ever.
walking into Tiger Stadium felt like you were going to a sanctuary. Like every Saturday, and it's like the more intensity, like the Florida game. Then you come back and we have this boo-boo weather Auburn game, and like then we go play Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Like every week it just got more and more like exciting and better, and it just feels like surreal looking back on, one, how long ago it really was,
right,
and two, like everything that happened. You know.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just football is more fun, but everything around it.
Yeah.
Like just the feel of the state, the feel of the city.
Like, talk about campus. Like, we were having relationship panels. The whole auditorium was packed out.
Right.
Like, going on campus was fun. Like, we would sit in the quad for people would skip class to sit in the quad just to talk and have
LSU. I mean, there were so many people that said, like, watching LSU football in 2019 was the reason that they chose just to go to school at LSU. Like, not coming to play at LSU, but you're just coming to go to school here just because of what you saw happen last year.
And, like, I remember that, like, so vividly because, like, that was my freshman year, too. Yeah. And the first game, Mississippi State, we don't get blown out, but, like, we lose. And we shouldn't have lost.
We got blown out.
And, like, everybody was just posting, like, oh, my God, I can't believe I came here for this. Like, bro.
Yeah, it just shows you how much weight that sports hold. You know, especially down here. I mean, people were coming to school. Like, that's what blows my mind. You're coming to be a student at a school just because of what you watched on TV last year.
Yeah, I tell people, if the football team doing good, it's gonna be lit. If everybody's on good vibes with the football team, don't worry about Friday and Saturday. Everything's gonna be fun. But if it's a rough one, campus you're gonna feel it. Like, it's something in the air that just sits over us, and we're like, ugh.
Gotta go to a football game this week.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm
blame them now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the funniest time of your life for real, they say. So
yeah,
wouldn't even blame them.
Yeah.
The tailgate is what you're really looking for.
Yeah.
right. More than the full. I mean, then they're leaving at halftime. To go out.
I mean, like, Auburn this season, I tailgated from, like, I woke up pretty early. Went get my hair braided, did my thing. Went to Tigerland, got my wristband. Like, I was ready. Turned up, like, for 5 hours just to go to the game and watch Bo Nix run around like Kyler Murray. And we lose. And then I'm like, I don't even want to go out no more because we fucking lost. Like, I don't even want to see this shit.
And then we come back and beat Florida, and I'm like, bro, make it make sense. I
didn't even correlate.
There's about 4 games on our schedule last year that you look at and you say, make it make sense. The difference that we would have went from starting with beating UCLA, and I think we were 12 maybe, we were right there in the middle, to if we win that Auburn game, if we tackle Bo Nix maybe one of those times, maybe just one, that would have not been 7 points over the board on the board.
Yeah.
Just little things that could have changed the whole totality of the season. It blows my mind. Kentucky, like there's just certain things that I'm like, wow, like we had the pieces. We went into Tuscaloosa once again, played with heart, fought to the last minute, and almost beat Alabama with I think we only had like literally 12 people on defense.
Yeah, no subs. One sub.
Yeah, one substitute. We went in there with nothing, and they thought they were going to beat the brakes off us, and they were holding for their breaths in the fourth quarter. So, like, the team and the talent and I think it was there. It was just those small little things that we could have done differently had we done differently. Those shoulda, coulda, wouldas that really made what we could have been maybe on a high this past season. But it give us something to look forward to, this year.
Definitely. Because, I mean, a lot of those guys are still here.
Yeah. I
mean, there's guys that left, obviously, like guys like Trey Palmer, Dwight McLaughlin, and stuff like that. But you got guys like
multiple championships to LSU. We didn't even touch the hem of the garment on certain guys like Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
When I tell y'all, I know that he can play ball. Nobody got to even really see him once he had got injured, and then we tried to squeeze him back in. We saw some good things from him, but I feel like once he gets in his groove, and when we see him playing the season, like that's somebody that we're gonna really be relying on in that wide receiver depth.
Yeah.
The offense, there's so much we could do. There's so much we could do with John. You have Corey Kiner. You have Armani Goodwin. Like you mentioned, John's ability to run through contact and go through the hole. Well, what John can't do, you have Armani Goodwin there.
Right.
He looking for, if I can run over 3 people, he's going through A gap and he's, making that contact and driving through and still keeping high legs and getting 10 extra yards after contact. So I feel like there's a lot of good things. We already hit on the DBs. I know that Major Burns, he's probably going to have a really good season. I'm glad to have him glad to have him back. He should have just came from the beginning.
I think it was some stuff with recruiting though. Like they kind of, they had somebody else and it was like, oh, Major, like we want you to decommit and send him to Georgia. Like, wow, like just let him go to Georgia, the national championship. and see him once a year if you go to the SEC championship.
He told the story, and it was some stuff with Coach O. Obviously, it was just another situation like that. And so, but he's another Louisiana guy who loves the state, loves the city, loves the program, and he wants to be a leader, and he is that. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that DB group follows him. Because he's when he goes, they're going to go. So it's going to be interesting to see how they follow suit, because a lot of those guys are new. Your corners are going to be like Mekhi Garner and Jared Bernard Converse and guys like that haven't been here, and so you're going to have to follow suit. And then they got Jay Ward, who's still out there, who's going to make plays because he always makes plays. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they follow him and how these leaders lead the team. That's what it's going to come down to, because when you have a new regime with the coaches, I think obviously they're all bought into Brian Kelly, but it's still going to be different trying to adjust to, it's easier to adjust in spring practices than it is when it comes, to Florida State in New Orleans or wherever. They play in New Orleans, right?
Yeah, we play in New Orleans.
Play in Florida State in New Orleans.
On a Sunday?
We play on Sunday night.
Sunday.
We play on Sunday night before Labor Day in New Orleans.
Interesting.
So we have the whole weekend to set the vibe.
Yeah, right. The last Sunday game was Miami and Dallas, and that was a weekend. That was a weekend.
And just like last year, all the stuff that built up to UCLA, it's kind of feeling like it's gonna be the same exact way when it comes to Florida State.
Especially as like summer rolls on and we see more and more like what the team gonna be. Right. It's definitely gonna get like that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think me and Ron too much, and Jacob still want to talk too much about
UCLA.
Man, we was in California. I mean, the trip was going perfect. It was the perfect trip ever. And then it's just like the more and more, I'm just like, wait, this really gonna happen? Like this really is gonna happen? Like we're gonna go back on the airplane, and we did not beat UCLA like we were supposed to. Like I never really had. Going into it, and this could be all of our faults, because I think we all was just like, oh, poo, Pac-12 UCLA. And they kind of humbled us and showed us that they're about something, and that gave them what they needed, and they actually had a pretty decent season. But for us, I was just like, wow, like
we went out sad.
Did that.
We went out sad. I like me personally. I feel like LSU went out sad.
Everybody,
like the whole weekend in front of everybody, in front of Hollywood. Like
so
we went to Hollywood,
was in that stadium,
and got our asses whooped.
Sissy blue shirt comment before the game.
I blame it on not having a band. We did not have a band. Had we had a band, UCLA probably would have never let fans from an away school come again.
Yeah, for real. Like
especially in a away school like LSU.
Yeah, it was about to get real ugly in there. Like the way LSU fans came in there, we had already, we were lathered up, been drinking since 8:00. Like
sauce.
These people from LA ain't on this at all. Probably got a little relief med in us. You know what I'm saying? Like we went to the dispensary, got a little drink. We feeling good. So you're like, all right, we're about to go in here and whoop some ass. And we get in there, and Max is throwing passes behind his back, like we in a basketball game. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh yeah, we definitely."
Man,
this is a loss.
I was in the press box when that play happened, and press box rules, you can't
react. Now you're at a major SEC school, and the starting quarterback's throwing a.
Like when I first started, I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt, because like the O-line, like they were bad the whole time too. Like I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt, but like when I saw it on replay, like he didn't do that. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, no, that was a rough way, and it kind of showed us what the rest of the season was going to look like.
I mean, Coach O was on rodeo the day before the game, so like I was kind of like, shit, I don't know what. Like I really didn't know what the
vibe. Who was here? They just kind of rode the wave of the championship.
It didn't play either.
But I was just explaining to my partner Corey, I was letting him know, I was like, I feel like if you look at the team and the roster right now, my class and the freshman year guys who got to ride that national championship wave, and I mean everything lit, ESPN, Jordy, we lost the roots, the foundation, people who have been here for 4 years, the UCF game, like we lost that, And the guys from the 2019 recruiting class, they didn't experience none. They didn't experience no USC game. They experienced Texas the second game out the week, and I went to that game and I was like, oh yeah, like this finna be one of them type of, like, we went to the Texas horns down all day. Like that class wants to be here, and that's one thing about it. They have a heart for LSU.
That's the Louisiana class.
That's the Louisiana class. They really they care about school. They care about going to class, things like that. So when you have guys who are willing and they want to put in the work, and that they were the most open group when Coach O's departure happened. They were the ones like, nah, like let's stick this thing through. The ball every time. And like I tell people, LSU, like, we do our thing with wide receivers and whatnot, but we a defensive school. Like we come in, and when y'all come in Tiger Stadium, it don't matter. Like, we come in hard every play. Like, defensive backs coming hard, the safeties coming hard, the D-line, like everybody come with a standard. And so I feel like, what we're developing right now is a group of guys who want to be here, who want to be at the top, who, are willing to make the sacrifices, whether that mean we can't go party tonight or whatever, or if I got to get up for this 9:30 class or go to tutoring. Like, I feel like I've seen a lot less people missing tutoring and actually, I need to go to tutoring, things like that. So shout out Brian Kelly and his staff and the culture that they've kind of started to create and cultivate around here and graduate champions, like they say.
Of course. Yeah, that's big time. That's huge for the culture of a program, because the success is more than just on the field. And when you have guys that, not only are leading the players, but they're also making plays themselves. Like you were talking about, like with guys like Kayshawn and BJ and, Ali Gay, like guys that are not just on the sideline talking to you. Because sometimes, come from the coach, it's not always the same as when it's come from the guy next to you with his hand in the dirt.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
And they a rowdy bunch. They a rowdy bunch, I say that. And, like, looking at practices and stuff from, like, 2019, like, it got down a couple times at practice. It got down. I'm talking. I was like, whoa, like, they really do this? Like, but it's what creates what a football team is.
Brotherhood.
Too, but it established, like, if K-Levon was coming as hard for Clyde as he could have possibly came, he was going to come that hard, but it was to make each other better. It wasn't, to get back or nothing. It's so, like, we're the best team. Every person on the field, those on both sides of the ball are somewhere right now. So it was because every day Derek Stingley was going up against Jamar every day, That competition makes you better. Yeah. So it's just about creating that now, really. Yeah.
No, Patrick Queen was in here on one of the other shows, mic'd up, and he was talking about that team, talking about some of the scuffs that they got in. Just like Coach was like, don't hit Joe.
Yeah.
He said,
the big one.
He said next play, I'm going to hit Joe. Like right after, like straight up, and so.
Oh, they used to I don't want to get out what what be going on, man. They used to be talking like next play is up, and
right.
And it's going up next play.
Yeah.
And that's when you really become like family. Like it's deeper than just your teammate.
That's why I was just explaining to him the culture that Coach O had with family, and I feel like that's what we recruited a lot, which is why we kind of lost some of those guys in the transfer portal that we did when Coach O announced when Coach O's departure happened. The family environment, I miss it. It definitely we knew that it was gonna change, and whatnot, but it's changing for the better. But the family environment that we did have, like that 2019 season, and just from going to Texas to Bama, like I went to the Bama game on Friday, went to the game Saturday. We drove back from Bama and made it back in time still to go to Tigerland. Like the craziest thing one of the craziest things I've ever done. But the Atlanta trip, you go to Atlanta at the first weekend, and I went both times because shout out Atlanta, I'm from there. You go to Atlanta the first weekend in December, take finals, and you turn around and you go back to Atlanta for a whole week for the Peach Bowl. Talk about fun in Atlanta. And then you turn around, we come back to campus. Campus is dry. And the next thing you know, you get on a bus going to the college football national championship in your home state. Everywhere you went in New Orleans that weekend was purple and gold. Clemson was no one's, and it just was the whole year. It was just family vibes throughout it all. So,
I think the way Brian Kelly's trying to continue that is through recruiting Louisiana talent, bringing Louisiana guys back, because he knows, if they don't relate on some of these external things, they're going to relate on where they're from, and that's kind of how he's trying to bring that back. And that's, that's how you build a team, build a culture. You bring guys that have stuff in common, and there's nothing more special in common than where you're from. So
but that's
huge.
LSU. That's what makes LSU unique. When you look at Bama, when you look at Clemson, when you look at Florida, when you look at Texas A&M, well, Texas is kind of hard state to compare to, but when you look at playing for LSU, like majority of the people on our team, from little kids, LSU is, if it's not the top one school, it's been the top three. Like if I could go to any school, it would be LSU, whatever the case may be, the other two options, whatever. Like, why not? In LSU, majority of the great people who have come and played here are from Louisiana, because it means more when you playing in front of your people, especially for a state as Louisiana. Like us, we from Georgia. We don't get like natural disasters, hurricanes, things like that. Like we've had to go, even since I've been here, had to go through that and see some of our friends and family members go through the impacts of different hurricanes and things that happen. Like it makes that Louisiana blood strong. Like it's something different down here. Like they call it the Bayou. It's different for real. And so I feel like that does translate when it's Saturday night in Death Valley and you playing in front of 103,000, 3-2-1, and we all repping, Louisiana.
For real.
And that was mainly like a thing like in Lafayette, like a lot of guys like Jack Betch, Walker Howard, Fitzgerald West, Sage, Malik, Kayshawn, all of them, they play like on the same like bootlegger teams growing up and stuff. Yeah,
and so it's that bond that's already built. Kyron Lacey came on. He was talking to Jordy, and he told a story about driving past Tiger Stadium while he was still at UL. And, it's talking about how much it meant to him. Like, he was driving past, and he, started crying. He's because he knew he could play there. And, that just shows you how much that means to guys from Louisiana.
He's never been to an LSU game.
Yeah, he's never been to an LSU
He stated on his Twitter he's never been to an LSU game. So, his first experience of LSU will be 103,000.
And he a dog.
And I know it. He's a dog, so he's gonna get the full experience. Just imagine him scoring a touchdown.
100 yards.
Right. First game. I need
2 touchdowns. Hey, Kyron, I want 100 yards, 2 touchdowns first game. You gotta turn up.
For real. And then we'll be in New Orleans. For a lot of these kids, a lot of these dudes wanted to go to the state championship. That's the big deal in Louisiana. If you're from Louisiana, playing in the dome. The dome is the goal.
Bring out that carpet.
for everybody in whether you play 1A. I went to a 1A school. Our goal was to go to the dome. 5A school, dome. Everybody got there in their locker room, wherever. So a lot of these dudes never played in the dome. So this is their first time on national TV in their home state. It might get ugly, honestly.
I'm gonna say this: I ain't never been to a state championship game for Georgia, for nobody in Georgia. If I was gonna go, it was gonna be the year that my high school was actually making a playoff run, but. Here, I'll go to state. I go to y'all state champ. I'd be excited. I'm that second weekend in December, we go into New Orleans. I can't even cap or exaggerate. It's just different. And I guess that's why I always be saying I'm from Louisiana now, because it's just something. It's something in me now. I feel like family. So
what played a part in you wanting to come here, come to LSU?
It's kind of the same thing we've been saying. I always just knew what LSU was because of football. Yeah. Growing up, in high school, it was just if I could go to a school, LSU, I had never been on campus. I had never been to a football game. I used to live in San Antonio, so we would drive through Baton Rouge, when we go drive to Atlanta and visit family where we live now. I would just see the stadium from the bridge and just be dang, one day it would be cool to go to an LSU football game. So it was just like a full circle moment how I ended up coming to LSU. I was committed to Morehouse to do track and field. I was a pole vaulter, and LSU is the one school from my freshman year of high school to my senior year that has stayed the most consistent. Yeah. LSU and Auburn, actually. So my last three was Morehouse, LSU, Auburn. When I went on my visit to Morehouse, it was like, I ain't going to LSU. I'm not going to Auburn. I'm going straight. Morehouse, I'm going to stay at home, be near my family. It sounded cute. I ain't going to lie. Like, it sounded real cool. The church 10 minutes away. Like, I know a lot of people. I'm in downtown Atlanta. You got the AUC. I got the Spelman girls. Like, bet we going to go to Morehouse. They bagged me. One day, January 26th, I actually never forget it. I was in my teacher's class, 4th block. I was bored. I was literally bored in class just on the internet. And so I have my application at LSU all the way done. I just pressed submit. Fast forward March 7th, I had a track meet, and it was one of my biggest track meets of my senior year season. On the way to school that morning, me and my sister get in a car accident. We don't make it to school, whatever. I go to the track meet because I was team captain, like to support my team, whatnot. While I'm sitting there, I get the email from LSU that I got accepted. I didn't think nothing of it. Like, I was like, everybody's like, what you gonna do? I'm like, no, I'm still going to Morehouse. And I really didn't think much of it. I was like, dang, like, got accepted to my dream school. Cool. Yeah. That weekend, something tugged at me. I went to church. My pastor was like, look, we got to do something special tonight. And so I called off my job, and I was like, look, I have to go to church and, like, pray about this decision. So for the next 2 weeks, and Corey's my witness, like, he knew me. So for the next 2 weeks, I no-hide it on my senior night. I couldn't pole vault. Like, my teachers knew, like, the whole school knew. And I just visited my high school a couple weeks ago, and me and some of the counselors were talking about, like, looking back on, aren't I just glad I went with LSU? But, man, like, I literally was tossing back and forth, having dreams about it. Like, I had vivid dreams about, like, being the party promoter and leading all the parties and stuff. And it's, like, crazy to full circle. Like, everything that I said was going to happen has happened. Like, I kept telling my mom, the whole summer, I watched LSU football every day. Like, my family was sick of me. Like, I know they were sick of me. They was like, can this boy please get to LSU? I just knew, and I prayed on it. And when I came for my visit, the one day that my mom said, you choose one day over spring break, we'll go to LSU, and I'll let you see it. I'm supporting your dreams regardless of wherever you want to go. And it just popped up in my memories. It was like April 4th. And I was like, I got here, and it was like the moment I got here, I just knew, like, this was the place to be. I went to the same day of my tour was the job fair for working with the football department, and I didn't want to go because I had an LSU shirt, some ripped jeans, and like some wet up shoes because it rained the whole day of my tour. So I like kind of felt embarrassed because I would never go to a job opportunity looking like that, but I still went. I was the only high school kid there. I was a little intimidated because, like, everybody around me in college, and they talking about what's your major and what's this, and, it's a big job. And I'm like, well, I stayed, and I met with the guys and connected with them. Shout out Keith Sanchez, Colin D'Angelo. I actually talked to Keith today and stuff. And so I just kept in touch with him, and I just kept praying on it. Like, the whole summer, I was like, Mom, LSU going to go to Alabama. It's going to be the game of the century. Like, my mom is my witness. I said all this. And then I was like, that's the weekend before my birthday. I'm going to go to the Alabama game. My mama got me tickets to the Alabama game. Like, everything I said was going to happen actually happened. And I ended up coming here before I even went into a classroom. I had gotten the job opportunity to work with the football department and recruiting and stuff. So life just happened full circle, and I don't regret my decision at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially when you look at this past Thursday. I mean, the opportunity that had to be. I mean, you're just talking about, like dreaming, like speaking about it into existence, like just talking about, what your goals were, and like, if I'm going to give up this opportunity to go to LSU and do all this, this is what I want to come of it. Mm-hmm. And then this past Thursday, I mean, you got to be in front of like entire school, and then like probably like half of Southeastern, half of UL, half of everywhere. Just everybody out there, and then you got to open essentially for one of the biggest rappers in the game.
Yeah. like being a party promoter, I hate that terminology. Like I do not want to be known as a party promoter if I'm being honest.
But he is. He's
It's unfortunately what
I'm looking at the LSU party promoter,
Mr. LSU himself.
Mr. LSU himself, TJ Polk.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for this job at all, and it's very stressful. And it really just happened with Mo, DJ Mo Swag, the dude who DJ'd the Lil Baby thing. He is just like, it was around this time last year. He was like, "Yo, bro, graduation coming up. We gonna have a little party. I want you to host it." I ain't know nothing about throwing parties at all. All I did was threw house parties and went to Tigerland and other clubs around before this day. So he like, "Yeah, I'm gonna throw you a little bread." I was like, oh, "Okay, I thought maybe $50-$75."
It's a club, bro.
So man, I go to the little graduation party, pack it out, and I was like, "Dang, okay, you bet." Like we got all the grads in here, they flyers, whatnot. So then that was my one party. Then the summertime came, Mo hit me up again. He's like, "Yo, we gonna do these joints on Thursdays. We gonna have college night. We gonna call them Tiki Thursday." He was like, "We gonna start it the week before LSU go to school." And I was like, "Bet." We did 2 Tiki Thursdays. Welcome week Tiki Thursday came, and I was like, "Bro, are you serious?" Like I didn't realize how many people actually like when it was a move, said it was a move, like
it's a move.
Everybody, yeah. So Tiki Thursday started popping, and if you know about Oasis now, like that all last semester was nowhere to go but Oasis on Thursdays and Saturdays. And so as that kind of started happening, just like more clubs, people around the area, bars, wanted me to promote the events, promote their stuff. And so with Lil Baby, well, I just party promoted at that time. Like I just posted on my story. Then when we started doing Oasis, BK the Lion King, who I'll forever give all my props, and I told him this last night. I told him like I would not be doing what I do on the mic if it wasn't for BK. I'ma always give him his credit. I told him he gonna always be by my side too, cause before the Lil Baby, he was literally like, "You don't gotta do too much." He was like, just say this, like. So I give credit where it's due, and BK, I'm giving you your flowers right now. But he was like, I started picking up the mic more, and he was like, "Nah, this is my young dog. And so he started saying like, "Nah, say this or do this." And so then that's when more so like hosting on the mic became a little thing for me. And then I just started finding out my own little things to say and like what made me me. And people literally see me now and they say my lines. When they see me, they be like, "Yo, I want to see the girl shake." Like that's just something I say on the mic. And so when they asked me, well, somebody gave me a hint that Lil Baby was coming like the first week of March. They was like, "Yeah, we got Lil Baby." The next day, Milena, who planned the event, shout out Milena, gave all y'all who put the event on as student government. She was like, "Yo, do you want to host?" I had already told them. They didn't have no other person to ask. Like, I didn't know who the artist was for months. And so I was like, I just want to, I'll just do the opening. There's like, there's no question. Like, who else are we going to trust enough to put on the mic? And it has to be a student. So I was like, bet. When I found out it was Baby, when she texted me, she was like, "You won't know who the artist is." So I knew who the artist was, and I was like, yeah. But I just laid low on it. I'm like, yeah, I'm finna open up for Lil Baby in a couple weeks. Yeah. Nobody knew. I knew Lil Baby was coming. And then I just knew, like, this was going to be the biggest event I ever had to do. Like, I've spoke at funerals, weddings, preached. I've done a whole lot of things in front of hundreds of people, but I've never done something in front of thousands of people. And yeah, like price went up big time.
Price definitely went up.
Like, yeah, 500 an occasion.
Speaking of 500 an occasion, how much did we the students or we LSU,
since it's y'all's money, I hope I don't get in trouble for this.
Because I got people that like old people, like people from my area asking me like, how much LSU pay for Lil Baby? I'm like, shit, I don't know. I just go there. I just went to the concert.
I don't know if I can really say that on mic, honestly.
Give me a ballpark.
I'm gonna just say it was 400,000. So So
All right. And see, I said 500 because he said
like
400 in like a interview.
He said 200 on occasion 2 years ago.
Yeah, this is like 2-3 years ago, so I know what it is.
Lil
now.
Baby is
Before we
probably
made my
like,
turn.
if I'm being real with y'all, like Baby, Future, Gunna, like all of them who are on that type of trail, they be like 4 or 5, maybe 6.
Yeah.
You start talking like 8, 9 the moment you get around Beyonce, Drake, Rihanna.
How much you think YoungBoy would be?
YoungBoy wouldn't be that much. Like YoungBoy would probably be like anywhere from 100 to 200.
Damn.
Depending on even how like for an event for LSU is different than just any occasion event, because you gotta realize Young Boy's from Baton Rouge, so it depends. It depends on like the artist, and there's an extensive process that goes on with how we book these artists. So thankfully that the administration and Milena and the student entertainment department, they wanted to get student input on who the students wanted, and so when they got that list back, they started reaching out to different lists, and the top 3 was amazing. So I knew when they asked me before I knew that the top 3, whoever we had gotten was gonna be a name. It was gonna be a crowd the same size. Right. Like all 3 artists, LSU did they thing on this one this year. So I just knew it was gonna be up, but we just have to continue to make sure we're paying our fee bills and stuff, so we can continue doing it.
Tuition.
And then like just putting student leaders in places, that way we don't get stuck with
Kesha. Like when I
Big Frida.
No, for real. Like when I first got to LSU, and I got to LSU in 2017. That was my first semester. My first semester at LSU was spring of 2017, and we had for grooving we had Kesha.
Wow.
That's my first one, and I was like,
wow.
Does Kesha even make music? Like that was at the point where she was like not even making music no more. Like she was like stuck in a deal that she had to make music, and I was like, bro. It's no way we paying for this. Like, it's no way we paid for this.
Y'all student fees do pay a portion of it, and then, like, I don't know what their process was for really getting the full amount, but I know student fees did fund majority of it. And also, I just say next year, y'all, if we could get Lil Baby and the school is willing, I've already reached out to a couple different people with some other artists, like, Welcome Week, we're gonna try to do something again like that. So y'all just stay tuned.
Yeah, because I mean it was electric. I mean like the atmosphere,
Oh girl,
wig
falling off.
Yeah, the wig was crazy.
I thought they was fighting.
I thought they was fighting, and I was like, bro,
damn, they about
Baby
to shut us out.
I was like, man, Baby not even gonna come in here. Like, I ain't gonna get my picture, bro. He was already being difficult before. I was like, man, it's just not gonna happen. And then when they started yelling and stuff on the stage, I'm like, Jada, bro, they finna start.
They fighting.
And then the wig just starts flying in the air. I'm like, bro, no, they throwing somebody like Ponytail.
I want to know who it is. Somebody has the video.
Yeah.
If
you guys see the post on Instagram, it said something about it.
No, one of the photographers have a picture of the wig in midair. Like,
what?
It was so cool. It was a cool picture.
Because
like,
I mean,
it's one of those you just had to be there to
right.
understand. Like, we got to put it up somewhere.
No, because I remember watching it, and I'm laughing the whole like first 5 minutes, and I'm like, man, somebody got to give her hair back. You start feeling bad for the person.
It went on a whole other side.
Because it started over here, I'm over here, and it's coming across me going that way. And
and then meeting Baby was actually crazy too, like because we was in the back waiting a long little minute, and they was texting us like, yo, if you trying to meet Baby, come on. We did not get no text messages. So we walking outside, and they like, yo, we been calling y'all, we been looking for y'all. We was just in the back chilling, talking about what had just happened. And then we went back there or whatever, and they had a lot going on. Baby was.
I was about to say, I know he was back there getting it in real quick. He had a couple rolls.
So then finally he came in, and by this point we had already he had just played Super Gremlin, and I knew that was a song, the first song before Baby came out that he was gonna do, because I had to watch videos before to be prepared. Right. So we start walking to our little spot on the front. I just feel somebody pull my jacket, and it's like, y'all come back, Baby trying to take the picture, Baby trying to take the picture. So everybody just start. I just like, y'all get them, and we all just start coming, and we get up there, and I was like the first one, whatever. He has his son right there. He was fixing all his chains and stuff, and like everybody was like, wow, like everybody started running up. And so then he went in the little room, and they was like, we need the first 2 people. So then I like walk in, and he was like, what's up with you? And I was like, what's up? I was like, I had that thing turned like, and then like bet like it's gonna go crazy, and then everybody like just started forming around him. We took the pictures and stuff. He was real chill, like he was dope. His performance was phenomenal. You know, we had they told us the songs he was gonna sing. So when they showed me the set list, I said, I know everyone.
Good. I'm
good.
We Gucci.
We good. But had he performed any longer, you would definitely found out who was the real Baby
Yeah,
or not.
real.
I was ready to sing every song from every album.
Really ain't no
I'm repping Atlanta the whole time.
He definitely brought the A to LSU.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when he played that Southside joint, I was like, Atlanta. Yeah. But it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just want to bring, more people, continue making LSU fun. Like, I realize that I have this personality to, be lit, turn up guy, whatever y'all want to consider it. So I just, I enjoy it. It's stressful, like I say. Y'all call me too much and text me too much, and it's always what the move is and where we going and how I get in for free and can you give me a wristband and can I meet Baby? Like, it's always something now. But I get joy from, after seeing Thursday, and like I say, that Swag Surf video, I watched it so many times. I'm like, bro, like that was just insane.
Yeah.
So it was cool vibes, but
Yeah, no, it was a great atmosphere. Y'all did a great job.
appreciate you.
But yeah, I mean, I appreciate y'all coming and talking. Come hang out with us.
For
Y'all
sure.
welcome back any Sunday
For
night.
sure.
Um,
I'll definitely be back.
But yeah, everybody watching, we appreciate y'all coming and interacting with us, coming and tuning in again. Another Sunday night. We'll be back. I don't know if we'll be back next Sunday. Next Sunday's Easter. It's all about the family.
Family time.
But Jordy will be back in the morning, 7 to 9. Mikey will be here 11 to 1.
I think Mikey might have some guests tomorrow.
Mikey's working on some guests to get in. We don't know who Jordy's going to get, but Jordy's going to get somebody. He always does. But yeah, we'll see y'all another Sunday some point.
Yeah, a couple weeks. See y'all in a few weeks.
Yeah.